tree has huge, spiky seed balls on it. See if I can get one. That look like that.
Oh.
All right, that looks dangerous. You don't want that falling on you. Does anybody know what kind of tree this is? Yes, but not quite a chestnut. A horse chestnut, exactly. Which is not really a chestnut, but looks kind of similar. There are some differences. This is not the chestnut that you roast at Christmas time and eat. You know the song, Roasting Chestnuts on an Open Fire? Don't roast these ones. They're not good to eat. But you'll find them a lot in cities because they're fairly hardy trees. Their seeds, or their nut, sits inside a juicy outer shell, much like a walnut does. But their outer shell has lots of spikes on it. Inside is that smooth, shiny thing that we think of as chestnuts. So it's understandable that people got confused. It will break open and there will be a little nut inside. The edible chestnut is a lot more furry, not quite so spiky, lots of fur on the outside. The leaves are also different. Hang on. Here's the leaf of a chestnut, a horse chestnut. It looks like a hand, if you have an imagination. All the leaves come together at a single spot. One leaf, one leaf, one leaf, one leaf, one leaf. This chestnut has a blight. It's a fungus that is causing the leaves to get dry before their time. So it's a diseased tree, but it's very common for horse chestnuts to have this blight, and they seem to be doing okay. They do worse in wet springs when the fungus can really do well. It likes being moist. So, of course, rain will make the leaves moist often. And this spring wasn't too wet. This guy will probably do okay. The fungus, though, stays in the leaves, so when it falls to the ground, it just recycles itself and lives the next year. Josh, you had a question?
I opened the chestnut and there's lots and lots of layers, and I actually cracked it, and I cracked the wooden shell, and then the nut is inside.
Yeah, it is a hard nut to crack. There is a classic game in Britain and Ireland called Conkers, and if anybody has ever played Conkers, it's using these. People put they nail a hole into it, which is hard to do, and put a string through it. And you put it on your ground, and your neighbor, your opponent, takes their conker and tries to knock it onto this conker and break it. Who thinks of these games? I don't know, but there you go. It's a very classic, very old-fashioned game called Conkers using the chestnut. This guy has these beautiful glossy leaves and a lovely little mitten shape. This tree also has purple berries that are very yummy. And if these are planted along sidewalks, they'll drop those purple berries, and the purple berries will stain the sidewalk. They're very yummy. This is a mulberry. This is a white mulberry. And there is a native mulberry to Canada, the red mulberry, but I've never seen one. It's an endangered species. The white mulberry, however, is doing pretty well. It's originally from Asia, and its most popular claim to fame is that it's the favorite food of a very important caterpillar who makes a silk cocoon. We boil the silk cocoons to make silk cloth that we wear. So a silkworm moth, or a silk moth larvae, eats only white mulberry leaves. So if you wanted to make yourself a silk shirt, grab some white mulberry leaves. Yeah. Growing on the mulberry is another very common vine in this neck of the woods. It's a wild grape. Hard to tell because this wild grape is having a bit of problems, but there's the big leaf of the wild grape. You can see it's draped itself over the mulberry. On some streets, when you drive down, you'll see these big drooping branches, and it's usually because the wild grape has taken over a tree and it's just growing on top of it. This wild grape also has a lot of galls on it, tiny little insect homes on the leaves. See these little things? So an insect has come and laid its eggs on the wild grape leaf, and it's caused the leaf to make a little home. It's a little growth of the leaf tissue, and inside each one of these little galls is a baby insect. Of what? I'm not sure. Probably a wasp, but we'll see. If you crack open one of these little guys, you might find a larvae inside, but it's so small it's hard to tell. There is a little black nubbin in there. You see black on the inside? Just looks like a speck of dust or a speck of dirt, right? But it's probably a little baby insect.
Oh.
And so this grapevine, look at how many there are.
Yes.
They're just tons.
Baby insect.
Some of them are much bigger. Eventually the little larvae will come out. But so the wild grape is coming over the mulberry. The galls are going on the wild grape. Everything is happening all in this one little section, and sometimes you just walk right past it and you don't even notice these things.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of action happening when you open your eyes, Chris. You may have seen this if you've ever seen our flag. It looks like the leaf on the Canadian flag, right? If it were red, say. But this is not from Canada at all. This is the Norway maple. It's a very common planted tree in urban environments because it does quite well. The Norway maple has really big leaves and has a little extra spike at the bottom. That's one of the ways you can tell it apart from a sugar maple. It also casts a really deep shade underneath, even deeper shade than the sugar maple. And it turns that beautiful yellow in the fall. So a lot of streets right now are changing from green to brilliant yellow because of the Norway maple. But it is an invasive tree. We've planted it a lot because it does well in city conditions, but it does a little bit too well. It sprouts up almost everywhere. If you have a Norway maple in your yard, you probably have 2 or maybe 3 in your yard as they're all sprouting up. This one, somebody said this morning this looked like a polka dot tree because it's got these little spots on it. Some people call it a tar spot. It's a blight. A fungus has made this happen. And some seasons are better than others for Norway maples. Again, like our horse chestnut over there that had a blight, this one will do better or worse depending on how wet a season it has been. The Norway maples, as I said, are very hardy, and this one will probably survive this blight not too poorly. Another way you can tell apart a Norway maple from other maples is by its seeds. And I think there's some seeds right here. Look at that.
Oh, yes.
You've probably seen these before,
Yes.
these little seeds, especially a little bit later on in the fall when they dry and they split and then they fall down like a little helicopter. The helicopter hopefully helps the seed get far away from its parent that it doesn't have to grow up under its shade. That's very difficult to do. The Norway maple seeds have their little wings very far apart, like that, Norway maple. But a sugar maple holds them down like that a little bit. So if you happen to be close enough that you can see the seeds, you'll know that you've got a Norway maple when it's almost straight, right across. So Norway maple, sugar maple. Dead things, we find an amazing amount of life. These are the last seed heads of what we call Queen Anne's lace, or wild carrot. It's a member of the carrot family, and its roots are edible in the springtime. They start to get a little tough about now. Earlier this summer, this was a wide head of lots of tiny little white flowers. Sometimes in the middle is a brilliant purple flower, right in the very middle. That's Queen Anne's lace. Now, in the winter, or in the fall and winter, they start to do this. They start to get dry, and they curl up. So some people have called this bird's nest weed. It looks like a little bit like a bird's nest. And this is still fantastic habitat for a whole bunch of insects. So you guys have already noticed these ladybugs hanging out here. Inside the bird's nests, you can also often find cocoons of various things. So these have mostly been broken open, but sometimes if you break one open, you can see if there's any little critter living inside. So let's see.
What's that?
I don't know. Oh, there's a little an earwig.
Yes,
I think an yeah, yay, an earwig. There we go. See, oh, sorry.
Earwig.
Yeah.
The baby, right?
No, he's pretty old.
Oh, yeah. Big,
He's just keeping safe in there, right? Because really, if you were a bird, would you want to eat that mouthful of fuzzy seeds and things like that? Not really.
And they fill with snow too, like in the winter.
Yeah,
So
they're
really neat.
quite beautiful.
Yeah,
and even in
definitely.
death. They yeah, you can peel one open, see what's inside. Oh, there's something in here too. I don't know what. What do you think, guys? Something green?
No.
Something totally different.
What?
Oh.
It's a caterpillar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Look at that.
nice, Mama.
If you don't find anything, crush the seeds in your hands and then smell your hands.
Why?
Because it's a nice smell to see in such a short amount of space. I thank you for taking the time just to slow down and see it all with me.